Cheadle, you said that the buck stops with me, and I agree. I don't think you should resign. I think you should have been fired. Ma'am, you are a DEI horror story. I've told my daughter multiple times, my wife and my daughter, we talk to her all the time about how she's going to succeed in life. She'll succeed in life by achieving. Ma'am, you have not achieved today. You've let the American public down. If it was up to me, you'd be gone.
All right, I'm about tired of this DEI talking point that's come out ever since Kamala decided she was going to run for president. It's all I hear. It's all I hear. This particular circumstance is about the Trump assassination attempt, and because the director of the Secret Services is a woman, that means she was a DEI hire, and that's the whole reason this happened and the reason everything fell apart.
Director Cheadle, was the incident on July 13th due to DEI, or rather systemic failures in communication and potentially safety protocols?
The incident on the 13th has nothing to do with DEI. The incident on the 13th has to do with a failure or a gap either in planning or communication.
DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? It's about recognizing that historically more straight white men have been given opportunities, and people who don't meet that criteria have been given less opportunities. And it's an effort to raise awareness to that so you can seek out diverse candidates, because different people can bring different things to the table. And I feel like I shouldn't have to explain why it's so gross to assume anyone who's not just a straight white male is now just a DEI hire, which they consider to be, you were given this position because you don't meet those 3 criteria, and therefore you didn't earn it because you couldn't possibly be as good as or as smart as one of those people. So it was given to you. It's some leftist bullshit where they just give jobs to women, to gay people, to people of color, when in reality, it's an effort to find qualified people who aren't straight white men. Because if you stand for the group that stands for equity, equality, inclusion, that makes you not in the top tier. And that top tier is men, straight white men.
Now, I don't see why any man would vote Democrat. It's not the party of virtue, security. It's not the party of strength. It's definitely not the party of family. And to be a man and then vote for a woman just because she's a woman is either childish, that person has mommy issues, or they're just trying to be accepted by other women. And I heard the scientists say the other day that when a man votes for a woman, he actually transitions into a woman.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that's what the science says.
Science says that.
That's funny, Jesse, because I heard from the same scientists that when a man lets the air out of the tires of a younger woman to force her to take a ride home with him, that might lead to her getting married to him because she felt coerced. I heard the scientists say that's, you know what, that is the most specific source drop I've ever heard. You can't get more specific than that. Forget linking a study. I heard the scientists say you don't need any more than that. If a man votes for a woman, he must have mommy issues, is the absolute most brainworms take I have ever heard. Congratulations, Jesse Waters, you win. I'll send you a medal in the mail. So by that logic, if you vote for a woman, you have mommy issues. And then if you vote for a man, you have daddy issues. So what really we should be polling people's mommy and daddy issues in order to figure out who's going to win the presidency, because that seems to be our best tell. But because of talking points like this, because of, oh, no, she's just a DEI hire. Oh, she's just a DEI nightmare. Because of talking points like that, we can't have real, actual discussions about real, actual problems.
The civil rights lawyer, I have learned so many times in having to deal with law enforcement that there usually is not a perception of a threat when it is a young white male, even if they are carrying a long gun, Yet a lot of times, at least in this country, when it comes to law enforcement, there is a perceived threat just by somebody having a little bit more melanin in their skin.
Not only are people of color, particularly men of color, often seen in a violent light when there is no violence to be found, making their lives more dangerous. But white men are never perceived as dangerous, even when they have an assault rifle on them, putting the rest of us in danger. But no, that's not something we can talk about. We got to talk about the DEI hire, the woman responsible for all of this. We can't talk about gun safety and gun laws either, by the way. Like I said, DEI hire only. Has nothing to do with gun laws, gun restrictions, gun safety, none of that.
In the space in which this event took place, it was an open carry space. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I hail from the state of Texas, and interestingly enough, I was serving in the state house right after there was a mass shooting in El Paso. We had an opportunity to do right by our citizens in Texas, but we did not. Instead, they passed permitless carry. And what my colleagues kept trying to get you to answer, because we want to come up with solutions, we don't want to keep pointing the finger. And right now, you've got a bunch of fingers that are pointed at you. But our job is to solve problems for the American people. And to be perfectly honest, the numbers are clear. I think almost every major law enforcement agency come forward and say that they were against permitless carry because they said that their jobs would be made more difficult. Unfortunately, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in the state of Texas decided that they would ignore those warnings, and they passed the law instead. And right after they passed that law, we ended up with Uvalde. And we heard the stories of those officers that were scared to go in and save those babies because of the firearm in which that, in that case, 18-year-old had in his hands. They also were given an opportunity to say, hey, raise the age and make it to where at least you have to be 21 before you can possess this type of weapon. And they chose not to.
No, but the woman, the DEI hire. Listen, the reality is that rally was open carry. And for all the people out there who say, well, you can need a good guy with a gun to stop the bad guy with a gun, did that prevent him from shooting at the president candidate that you like? Did that stop that young man from firing that bullet? Sure, they took him down after. That could have been too late. Wouldn't it have been better if no one had access to guns at that rally? Then no one would have been shot at. No one would have died. All I'm saying is, don't allow another buzzword, another talking point, keep you from looking at policies and the things that actually matter, like gun control. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out some of my content that isn't news related, you can check out my personal YouTube channel at Bad Gamer Wyatt. And until then, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.